In this video, we are going to discuss about a variant of ifs, that is nested if. What is a nested if? A nested if is an if that is the target of another if or else. In order to understand this statement, let us take an example. For example, you want to find out the greatest among three numbers A, B and C. Okay. So you want to compare these numbers with each other. Let us start with comparing A with B. Okay. So when we compare A with B, this condition can be true or false. Okay. A can be greater than B or A can be smaller than B. For the sake of simplicity and understanding, we are assuming that none of these numbers is equal to any other numbers. That is, all the numbers are distinct, right? So A can be greater than B or A can be smaller than B. If this condition is true, that is A is greater than B, next we want to compare A with C. Again, this condition can be true or false. Okay. So if this condition is true, that is, we are moving along this path. A is greater than B, then A is greater than C. What does it mean? It means that A is greatest. And if this condition is false, that is, we are moving along this path and then this A is greater than B, but A is not greater than C. A is greater than B, but A is not greater than C, that is C is greater than A, then we can say C is greatest, right? And if this was the path which we took when A was greater than B. But what happens when A is not greater than B? That is, this condition is false. This means B is greater than A. Now we want to compare B with C, right? So B greater than C can be true or it can be false. If we are moving along this path, that is, B is greater than A and B is greater than C, then it means B is greatest, right? And if we are moving along this path, that is, B is greater than A, B is greater than A, but B is not greater than C, B is smaller than C. It means C is greater than B. We can say C is greatest. Okay, so this is the overall scenario. But how can we code it? In order to code it, we can use nested ifs. The topmost condition can be put inside an if, and this block will contain the code which will be executed if this condition is true. Okay, and the else part, this block will contain the code to be executed when this condition is false. Okay, so if A is greater than B, it is true, we move along this path. Here we test if A is greater than C. If both these conditions are true, it means A is greatest. Okay, and else part means we are moving along this path. A is greater than B, this is true, but A is greater than C is false. It means C is greatest, right? But if this complete path is false, that is, this condition is false, initial condition is false, then we move along this path, right? So in this part, we compare B with C. So if B is greater than C, it means we are following this path. B is greater than A, B is greater than C, it means B is greatest. Else means this part. B is greater than A, and C is greater than B. It means C is greatest. The next statement is, let me clear this. In a nested if, an else statement is always associated with the nearest if, that is within the same block as the else, and that is not already associated with an else. So I will take another example to make you understand this statement. For example, you have if and then if else, and then else. Okay, so it is saying that else statement always refers to the nearest if, that is within the same block. So for this else, this if is nearest and also within the same block, so this else will be associated with this if. Similarly, this else will be associated with this if. For this else, although the nearest if is this, but this is not within the same block. This block is an inner block, but this else is in the outer block. So the nearest if in the same block is this. So this else will be associated with this if. So here we also have another example. If, and inside if we have if, else. So this if is a if without an else. Okay, in the very beginning I said that we can check a condition and take some action if the condition is true, but if the condition is false, then you might not always want to take an action. Okay, so you can skip the else part. Else part is not compulsory. Else part is written only to specify what should be done if the condition is false. Okay, so this is if without an else, and this else, for this else the nearest if within the same block is this. So these two are associated. Similarly, this else is associated with this if.